All right, everybody, we are back here in Pennsylvania for State Park number 16. That's right, we are here in Caledonia State Park. We're actually in two counties right now, Franklin and Adams County, and I literally just pulled into my site for the next 2 nights here at Caledonia State Park. This is site 107, non-electric. Brought the old Jackery out here so I can get some power, but what a beautiful time of year it is right now. So last time you saw me hiking, it was around the 4th of July. Right now it is a brisk 60 degrees. It's September 15th and a Thursday out here. So like I said, haven't set up camp yet, but we're going to be setting up here in just a second. Caledonia State Park, 2 nights here at this campsite, and I'm going to hopefully be hitting up 2 state parks on this trip. So we'll get to State Park 16 and 17. We'll be doing about 2 or 3 hiking trails, maybe 10 to 15 miles altogether. But this park has a lot of interesting history that we're going to be touching upon here throughout the next couple weeks here on the channel. So this state park touches everything from Native Americans to the iron industry to the CCC and the Appalachian Trail. And if you're an Appalachian Trail fan, the trail is just about 400 feet in front of me here. So we're actually going to be doing a little bit of that trail tomorrow, and I'll be showing you that. So anyway, I'm going to get set up. Welcome to a new state park, and welcome back to Maximum Outdoors. It's almost fall time. It's almost my favorite time of the year, but I got to get camp set up. So I'll see you in a little bit. All right, and just like that, 20 minutes later, camp is ready to go. Got the canopy up, tent popped up, and as you can see here, this isn't the most level site that I've ever camped at, but we're gonna make do. This is pretty much the flattest area here. We're pretty much right on a slope here that goes on over to the road down below, as well as the Appalachian Trail. There is a little bit of traffic noise here at site 107, but as always, we will make do. So anyway, I did want to go over some of the plans and show you some of the trails that we're going to be doing here. So here is Caledonia's little pamphlet that they give out, and let me open this up and I'll show you two of the trails I want to do. All right, well, let's dive into the pamphlet here a little bit of a broader view of the area. We're here at Caledonia State Park. Just to the southeast of us is Mount Alto State Park, the oldest state park in Pennsylvania. And to the northeast of us is Pine Grove Furnace State Park. And as you can see, as I said before, we're not too far from the Maryland border here, just down south of us. And here is a larger view of the state park. We are surrounded by, I believe it's called Mikau State Forest, to pretty much all around this state park, except for this little privately owned area. And another kind of random fact is this is one of the only state parks I've ever seen that has their own public golf course. So this is Caledonia Public Golf Course. We won't be seeing that this weekend, but I did just want to show you some of the trails that we're going to be doing. So tomorrow or today, depending on how things go, we're going to be heading down and hiking the Appalachian Trail along the Ramble Trail here. It's going to loop around. We're going to link up with the Three Valley Trail through this little gorge here. It looks like we're going to gain some elevation, as you can see, through this little ravine, and eventually link back up with the Appalachian Trail and hike on down south and come back to camp. So this is probably going to be about 4 or 5 miles, I'm thinking. So if maybe you're not familiar with the Appalachian Trail, which if you're watching these videos, I don't know how you might not have heard of it, but this trail is probably the most famous trail in the United States, if not the world, and it goes from Georgia all the way up to Maine. And we're lucky enough to be camping in a campground that it runs through. So this will be actually my first time ever hiking the Appalachian Trail here in Pennsylvania. I've done sections of it down in Virginia as well as Georgia. So this will be my first time actually hiking it in Pennsylvania, which is pretty cool. So we'll be hiking a little section of it, maybe a mile, and that'll be this section. And then maybe Saturday or later tomorrow, we will do this trail, the Charcoal Hearth Trail, supposedly the most popular trail in this park, and it loops on around, and eventually you get to these charcoal hearth sites, which this area is pretty famous for, and we'll talk about that when we do that trail. But otherwise, beautiful day. Like I said, it's September 15th. It's about 60 degrees out right now. Can't beat it. Perfect camping weather. And as you can see, this campground is not really crowded at all. So a little bit more information about Caledonia. It's a little over 1,100 acres. I want to say it's like 1,125 acres in total. And it was established back in 1903, making this one of the oldest state parks here in Pennsylvania. So we did Promised Land State Park back in July, and I believe that was founded back in 1904 or 1905, and I remember saying that was like in the top 5 oldest parks in PA. Well, this one got it beat, and we will also be heading to the oldest state park in Pennsylvania probably Saturday. So a little hint on where I'm heading after this. But yeah, don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'll see you then. Alrighty, well, I have devised a little plan for today. I don't think I'm going to do any big trails today. We're going to save that for tomorrow, but we are going to do a little road hiking and maybe a little quick tour of some of the sites on my way out of the campground here. So as I said before, we are right here. I think we're going to do a little road hiking and head down to this waterfall here. I think this is called Caledonia Falls. We're going to walk down there, check that out, and then we're going to go check out the Caledonia Furnace Monument, which symbolizes how this area came to be. Long story short, a man came here back in the 1800s and he built a big iron furnace here, and they replicated it. They built one that looked just like it. So we're gonna go down there and check that out. But let's take a walk here in the woods a little bit. Like I said, we're only a couple hundred feet away from the Appalachian Trail over in this area somewhere, but check out these woods here. Yeah, we're gonna do a little road hiking here and check out hopefully a cool waterfall and a old replica furnace. Oh, look at this. Looks like we have chicken of the woods here. This is like the second or third one of these I've seen this year, and these are edible for any of you fungi eaters out there. I believe this is a white spore version of the chicken of the woods. As you can see, there's some white layers on the edges of it. But yeah, this is totally edible, although this looks to be in somewhat bad shape. It looks like there's something else growing on it. I'm not really sure. Probably would pass on this one, but 99% sure we got some chicken of the woods here. So that's a cool little find. And we'll go down here and see if we can find anything else. Another look at that real quick. These are actually feeding off of trees, so they can actually kill trees or feed off of dead trees. So this might be eating off of this tree's roots here, and this little fungi might actually end up killing this tree. So, but if you're into that kind of stuff, you can go out there and trim a piece off, take it up and eat it with your meal or whatever. And it gets its name from it. Apparently it tastes like a lemony chicken. So there you have it. And apparently it's also a very good substitute for meat. So if you're trying to go vegetarian or maybe cut back on some calories, there you go. Take a hike in the woods and find some chicken of the woods. I'm gonna head on back up to the top of the hill, and we'll start our journey through the campsite down to Caledonia Falls. Hopefully there's some water. Alrighty, saying bye to site 107 here for a little while as we take a stroll on down to Caledonia Falls. I figured I would give you a little tour of this campground. There are actually two campgrounds here at Caledonia. This is the largest one, both electric and non-electric sites. We're here in the quiet non-electric area. The electric area was pretty much all booked for the weekend. And you can see one of the restrooms up on the hill there. Stopped by there a couple hours ago, and I will say this, it was probably the nicest bathroom I've ever seen at a state park before. So 2 thumbs up for that. And here's site 111. This was actually the site that I wanted to get, and I kind of dragged my feet on it, but this is probably the nicer one of these 3 sites down on the lower end here. But yeah, we're gonna keep heading down the road here, and I'll show you some other nice sights along the way. As you can see, some of these you actually have to carry your stuff up to. They're kind of, I won't say they're hike-ins, but you can see they're a little bit off the road, and it's pretty much where these sites end. I believe 115 is the last site here. All right, well, come up to a little creek area here, and this will probably be the time that I see some giant fish swimming around down here, because this is the one time I didn't bring any of my fishing gear. So I'm not really sure the name of this creek here, but throw a name up there for you here in just a second. Pretty peaceful area. Looks like they have a public swimming pool on the other side there as well. Guessing probably closed for the year. Let's check this area out down here a little bit. Well, according to my map, we are along the banks here of a Conococheague Creek. Pardon my French if that isn't how you pronounce it. But as you can see, there's kind of a three-way intersection here. Not really sure what the other trail is, but pretty picturesque area here. Starting to warm up a little bit. It's probably in the mid-70s now, but definitely some deep pools here that I'm sure hold some decent sized trout. But yeah, really clear water and a really pretty area here at Caledonia State Park. A lot of picnickers out, and I believe we're going to be heading across that little bridge here in just a second. Another look at the public pool over there, as well as the road up to the campground. So I'm going to keep meandering on our way down here. I've only been on this trail for a couple minutes, and this is already the third bridge crossing that I've run into. There are all these really old style, like cobblestone horse and buggy kind of bridges that were built way back in the 1800s out here in eastern Pennsylvania. But let's go across this one and see what the view is underneath the bridge here. View of one of the playgrounds over there. A lot of stuff going on at this park. Pool, swimming areas, a couple campgrounds, and a ton of trails. But as you can see here, another really pristine looking creek. Caledonia State Park with the leaves coming down. All right, well, one last look at the creek here and the pool house. I'm gonna head back on over this pretty cool bridge here and link up with the trail that I saw while I was hiking up this way. So we're gonna head on over here and head on over to the park office. You can see one of the older style buildings there in the distance. It was probably built back in the 17 or 1800s. Let's take a walk across this bridge, give you guys a nice little view of this, and you can see how they kind of shored up the shoreline here with all the old timber, making sure that the shore doesn't erode. But I believe the trail up here is called the Midland Trail, and it'll take us over to the park office, if I read that right. So let's check this out, and we'll be one step closer to checking out the waterfall, the Caledonia Falls here today, as we're calling it. So let's go. All right, well, we passed up the park office and we are back on one of the main roads here, and I stumbled upon this old sign here, Waterfall, this way. It does look like it used to say Waterfalls, but who knows what happened. So there's a little Caledonia State Park information sign kind of directing you around, but we're gonna head on down this way and hopefully find Caledonia Falls, and hopefully it has some water. So let's go. All right, well, if you can try and ignore the road traffic of Route 30 just ahead of me, you can almost hear a waterfall in the background. This is probably the most heavily trafficked state park I've been to yet, but here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that this is Caledonia Falls here. Looks like there's some people up on top of it as well. Not really sure how you get up there, but all right, we're gonna try to get a better vantage point of the falls here if we can. All right, well, that's one thing off the list for today. We found Caledonia Falls, even though we had to hop a guardrail and run across a busy road here. Like I said, we're right off of Route 30, but it doesn't really stop the beauty of Caledonia Falls here. Check this out. It's about, I don't know, 30, 40 feet long as it kind of just meanders its way down this hillside to a nice little culvert and winds around and ends up in that creek we were at before. So we're gonna try to get on the other side here and get some better shots of it. But pretty awesome little find here at Caledonia State Park, Caledonia Falls. I just walked up literally 10 feet and this area gets even crazier. The waterfall actually goes through like a little gorge of some sort. It looks man-made, so not sure if this is fed by a spring, but check this out. Really awesome. Well, the funny thing is, I wasn't even going to stop here. I was going to skip this because I thought it was just going to be some little dinky roadside waterfall, but wow, I'm really glad I did. Glad I held off hiking the other trails until tomorrow. But as I said, this almost looks like it's man-made here. Looks like this was all mortared together for some reason or another. Maybe an old grist mill or something to do with the iron industry in this area, but really cool. Really glad we stopped here. So if I'm reading the map right, if we head on over this hill here, we will arrive at the old restored Caledonia furnace. I guess it's a memorial to pay homage to all the people that lived and worked out here. This used to be like a bustling little village back in the 1800s until this originally closed back in, I think it was like 1902. So there would have been houses, stables, an old forge, and all kinds of other stuff all around this area. And eventually it was all destroyed, and we'll get to that tomorrow when we check out some of the old hearths. But let's try to make it on over to the restored charcoal furnace. All right, well, looks like we made it to the old iron furnace. Like I said, this is not the original, and it's kind of hard to get a feel for how large this area in this furnace actually was. I mean, this would have pretty much encompassed this entire area here, but this is a recreation of the original Caledonia furnace, 1837, by Thaddeus Stevens. We'll be talking a little bit more about him tomorrow. Big anti-slavery guy, born in April 1792 until 1868. And as you can see here, the Confederates came through on their way to Gettysburg and destroyed all of this, and eventually it was rebuilt. So we'll look at one of these old iron furnaces here, see if we can get to the top and check this out. Okay. So there you have it. One of these. So yeah, as I said before, it's kind of hard to really realize how large these furnaces were back in the day, whenever all you really see is just the block work. But here's a good illustration of just everything it took for these furnaces to operate. So you would have had loaders up top dropping, like, I guess, charcoal down, melting the iron ore. This would have been like the pig iron back here, I believe, and the water mill, I guess, somehow cooling or venting the mill. But yeah, I mean, you would have had all kinds of structures all around this area, and here is a little illustration of how this all works. So you see limestone, iron ore, charcoal, but nice little look here at Caledonia Furnace. All right, upon reading its sign, here's a little better explanation. So this forge here we're looking at, or furnace, would have been much larger. As I said before, you would have had stables, a blacksmith shop, a forge, and more. As well, as you can see, they load all the minerals from up top there at that hole that we checked out a couple minutes ago. So they would have had horses and possibly people pushing wheelbarrows and stuff into the top there, loading up, it says, charcoal, limestone flux, and iron ore. Eventually making iron ore. It would make like a byproduct called pig iron that would spew out right here. This would have been all open way back in the day. As you can see here, this is all sealed up now. These little things right here would have been like the pig iron, the nasty byproduct that nobody wanted. And as you can see, there probably would have been a roof over this, as well as a water mill here that would have cooled down the product and kept this a little more ventilated, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing that waterfall that we saw was probably a byproduct of this. It might have been an old stream or an old spring that they probably diverted to make this thing all work here. But as you can see, this was all destroyed after or during the Civil War. A guy named Jubal Early came through this area and pretty much torched and pillaged and destroyed all of this. And they eventually rebuilt this. It was operational for a few years, and they eventually sold it to the state in 1902, and they made it a state park in 1903, and the rest is history. So we'll walk up these steps one more time, and as I said before, this area would have been like a little town or a little village back in the 1800s. There would have been hundreds of men working here, stables, blacksmith shop, forge, you name it. They would have brought charcoal and iron ore, flux, and whatever element, mineral they could find, and dump it down this hole here. And eventually they would turn that iron ore, that rock, into an iron bar, which sold for a lot of money. We made a lot of money out here. There would have been hundreds and hundreds of workers out here, if you can believe that. And then a man by the name of Early came through this area with his cavalry division back during the Civil War prior to Gettysburg. Those troops would have came up across the Maryland border, marched, or taken their horses through this area on their way to Gettysburg, pillaged this area, burnt down everything, destroyed this very forge we're standing on here. And like I said, they rebuilt it. And yeah, I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but definitely a cool angle from up here where they actually loaded the ore. Alrighty, well, just about back to the campground, and I think that will wrap up this episode of Maximum Outdoors. This was State Park number 16, if you're keeping track. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Caledonia State Park. We're going to be back here again next week and the week after that. So if you enjoyed, as always, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you aren't already. We're at 1,200 subscribers as of making this video. Check out my Instagram for little sneak peeks of where I'm heading next, or what I'm up to at that current moment. And add me as a friend over on Facebook. My name over there is none other than Maxim Outdoors. But I'll leave you with this really beautiful shot of the creek here at Caledonia State Park. All right, I'll see you next week, guys.